Hey guys, today I'm talking with New York City food blogger Dom, or some of you may know her as Dom in the City. We talk about balancing her 9 to 5 as well as food blogging and overcoming self doubt. Stay tuned to have your cup poured into. The first question I wanted to ask you is, who is Dom?
Who is Dom? That's like a loaded question.
It is. So I kind of wanted to go more into details like how was growing up for you? How did you get to where you are currently living in New York City? Did you always see yourself here or did it kind of just happen?
Yeah, okay. So I am a military brat. So my dad was in the Air Force, so I traveled a lot. I think every 3 years I went to a new school. So I've always been used to being the new kid. Fast forward to him like retiring. He retired outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in Southern Illinois, and from there I went to school in St. Louis, got married, moved to Philly with my husband, and then moved to New York. I had no desire to ever live in New York. I just thought I was going to be like this Midwest lady with like three kids and a car in a garage. But something about New York like awakened the entrepreneur spirit like in my soul. So that is where like Dom in the City came from because I used to travel so much for work. So I was always relying on all these like restaurant databases like Yelp and Google to kind of help me navigate living in different cities like for like 30 days at a time. So from there, I became like the Yelp queen. And then from there, I was like, why not create more than just something for Yelp? Why not create something where my friends can go directly and find information about like restaurants I like to visit or the best happy hours? Because I always felt like people were asking me, where should I go for this or who has the best drinks? So I said, why not put it in a place where they can find it easily?
Yeah, I agree just because I have like a similar thing with like stuff that you're good at, people obviously can notice that and try and just ask you for it and it was able for you to turn into a business. So you said you weren't in a desire to move to New York City. However, when you did move here, it woke up the entrepreneurial side for you. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so before I feel like we're automatically trained to see success as, and maybe I'm just speaking for someone that comes from the Midwest, we're trained to see success as punching someone else's clock and moving up their corporate ladder. I moved to New York, started working for a lot of startups, and I realized I wanted my own business in a sense. And that's where that entrepreneur spirit came from, like wanting more for myself, but also wanting to be able to control my day and do something that I'm passionate about. I feel like, just to be very transparent, I've always fallen into roles that I was good at, but I was not passionate about. So I just kind of had like this light that went off, and it was like, what are you passionate about? What can you do to like help others with this passion?
That's good because I know some people when that happens, they kind of just stay in a rut. But it's like trying to find ways to combat that. That even though you have the job, you have 9 to 5, but still finding things outside of the job to keep you going and motivated. Um, so if I'm not mistaken, you do work a 9 to 5.
I do. I literally just left from my desk. So I work at a startup. I work in a fintech startup that deals with insurance. So I work in an operations role. So I'm literally, if anyone's ever worked in a startup, that means you just do a little bit of everything from like helping them recruit and training and onboarding and mentoring and just flat out teaching people how to do their jobs or just stepping in whenever they need someone.
How do you stay consistent with blogging while also working your 9 to 5?
So my biggest pet peeve or my biggest mantra, I guess you can say, is if you can give someone else 8 hours a day for their company, why can you not give yourself 1 hour? So every time I want to go home and just lay down, I'm like, you literally sat and did 8 hours of work for someone else, and why can't you put an hour into whatever your passion is?
I'm so happy you said that just because me recently moving to New York City, when I was in Florida, my job, I would feel that way where it's like, okay, I did 8 hours for doing what you wanted to do so I can get the paycheck, but what am I going to do to make myself happy?
Mhm.
And I know when I talk with my friends or just associates or people at my job when we talk about it, they always say like, yeah, when I get home, I'm tired. how do you keep like the motivation or get the energy or the drive to, okay, I'm home. Yes, I am tired. I did spend 8 hours, technically 10, considering whatever your commute is and what time you woke up to get ready. But how do you stay motivated to keep going once you get home or the minute you leave the door?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people also consider that 1 hour of like just sitting at a desk, like straight for an hour when they get home or on the computer for an hour. But like you can really leave in that hour throughout your day. So sometimes it means me spending 30 minutes of my lunch, like looking up restaurants or brainstorming for content. That means I could be on the train and I'm on Yelp and trying to find out what's the hottest new restaurant in Harlem. So, for me, really, it's planning. Like planning and execution go hand in hand. So I literally plan out my day. Just like I plan out my time to go to work, I plan out my time to, brainstorm for my next blog post, create some type of outline, or I edit photos. And it's really kind of like just breaking it down into a smaller picture versus looking at the bigger picture. Because if you think to yourself, oh my gosh, I need to create a whole blog post, that's just like overwhelming. So literally when I do blog posts, I literally think, where am I going to go? Then I go. I think about my photos and editing. I think about my outline before I even start writing, so I have an idea where I want to go with this piece. So it's really just breaking it down into more manageable tasks, but at the same time having a strict timeline. Like sometimes, like I tell myself, all right, Dominique, you're gonna get home at 7. So that means between 7 and 8, you got to edit photos. So that might mean I can't go to happy hour unless it's creating new content. But that's how I look at things.
I like your perspective or at least your point of view, just because I know sometimes when people are starting something, even like a blog, for example, they get overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff to do. But I like the fact that you said you broke it down. Like maybe you use your lunchtime to look up restaurants. And then when you're off of work, maybe you go to that restaurant. And then maybe a few days after the restaurant, you write the review and then you publish a
Exactly,
blog post is
just
what
how
it
you said.
sounds like.
You have to break it down because I feel like myself and life in general, I get so frazzled when I look at the big picture. So that's why I love to like break things down and like ask myself like, okay, I have 10 photos. How long is it going to take me to edit 10 photos? All right, that should take me no more than 20 minutes. Cool, I can do that on my lunch. So sometimes on Sundays, I'm literally looking at my week and I'm deciding what is going to be done for the week ahead.
What is like a week in the life like for you? As regards to like working your 9 to 5 and then also like balancing your food blog, like you talked about it more generically, but what is it like actually doing it?
Yeah, so Sundays I sit down and I'm looking at the previous week. Like, how did my post do on Instagram? What did people like? What did they not like? What am I going to post next week? Normally, I always know what I'm posting the week before, typically. So that's what Sundays.
Mhm.
Sundays is like I call it blog teams. Like I'm doing all things blogging, and then Monday through Friday, obviously I'm working. Sometimes during my lunch, I try to squeeze in a new restaurant. I get off it every day at 6. I go home. I cook like 3 to 4 times a week, even though people think like as a foodie, I eat out every day, but I don't. And then I'm also attending PR events, and I try to like limit myself on how many events I do a week because I don't want to burn myself out. So I'll normally squeeze in like 1 to 2 events a week. Friday, I'm just having fun with my friends and catching up. Saturday is normally like a big content day for me. So when I say content day, I mean I'm either going to brunch or I'm going to find some new place to take photos, and I'm normally hitting like 2 to 3, quick spots in one day.
When you have a busier weekend, like maybe you have family visiting or maybe you're going out of town, how do you balance staying on track with your blog and staying consistent?
That's a really good question. So, in a perfect world, sometimes I will plan ahead. But a good example is this past weekend I had to go home to handle some family things. So that took a lot of traveling. So I knew I was going to be in the airport for like at least like 8 hours. So I spent a lot of my time on the plane, like planning my blog post. Sometimes it's planning ahead, and sometimes there's been nights where my new content goes live every Tuesday. There's been Monday nights where I'm up until like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I hate having those nights. And one of my goals for this year is to really to be able to plan out my content almost a month in advance, instead of like doing it week by week. That way, I'm not like burnt out or run the risk of being burnt out.
When exactly did you start officially blogging?
So I officially started, I think, October 2016. So I had a friend, and he was starting a blog called The District Confidential, and he's based in DC. I have another friend named Dominique. She's based in LA, and she was doing fashion. He was doing fashion and lifestyle. And then he said, "Hey, like your Yelp reviews are bomb. Why don't you come on board and like show us like the New York food scene?" And at first I'm like, a blog? How do you even do that? So I said, you know what, like this will be a good springboard for my own blog in the future, and this will be a good experience. So then a year in, I just had a lot of my friends are like, I love District Confidential, but like I'm tired of like digging through there to find your stuff. And so it was like, maybe I should just create my own thing. And so at this time, I already came up with the name Domnthecity, like as my pen name. So at that point, I was like, why don't I just start my own? But I had so many like reservations about starting my own. Like I was self doubting myself for like at least a good 3 months. I said things like, I need to lose five pounds so I can do a
Mhm.
photo shoot. I need to get someone to build my website. I need to get a real camera because I'm shooting everything on my iPhone. And then fast forward to December 12th, 2017, I launched Dawn of the City. So I had a full year of blogging experience from another site previous to starting my own.
Mhm. Why is it that you feel that way? Because I do feel that way actually about my own blogging, that I feel like I need these perfectly edited, good quality like camera and things, but why do you feel that you needed such good quality equipment in order to have a good quality blog?
So anytime I do something, I'm always going to be an educated person. So I'm looking at who else is blogging in this world. Like, what does their content look like? What am I up against? And I shouldn't have been looking at it like, what am I up against? But that's how I was looking at it initially. So I'm looking at all these people that have
Mhm.
like, this is where I went down the wrong path. I'm looking at these people with like 10,000 followers and they have these amazing photos. And I'm like, I want to be like this. Like, I want to have people look to me like this, so I need to be in this space. But what you have to remember is those people who have like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, we all started at the same place with one follower or 100 followers. So
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
blogging really took me out of the realm of self doubting because it's so easy to doubt yourself. But I really just feel like anything that I do, I want to give 100%. Like I want to bring my best. But it is possible to start a blog and just have an iPhone. Like I've shot some amazing photos on iPhones,
Mhm.
and they got more likes than something on my Canon. It's insane, but like it's all about presentation and good lighting. Like you can get like a selfie ring light and produce the same good lighting you would from a DSLR. You would be surprised. It's just practice makes perfect, really, at the end of the day.
I agree. You started blogging in someone else's blog, and then you eventually launched your own. How were you able to get steady growth on the blog?
So I tell people this all the time. Blog like you want more than just your mother to read it. So what I mean by that is like pumping consistent content. When people know that you're consistent, they will keep coming back to your site. Also, being consistent increases your SEO, which is pretty much like search engine optimization. So, the more you update your site, the more Google understands, like, hey, this is a real site, and the more likely you are to come across in someone's search results. So, it was just like, it went back to time management and just consistently putting out a new blog post. So, my goal for Dom in the City for the first year was one blog post a week, and I hit that goal and I was so proud of myself. But the reason why people keep coming back is because they know that I'm always putting something new out. Because it's the worst thing in the world to go to somebody's website and you like look at it and the last time they posted something was April. Like I'm not gonna come back to your site again. Like if you're not consistent, what's the point of someone coming to you? The definition of a blog is, an informal writing style or platform that is updated on a consistent basis. So that's why it's important to be consistent. And the more you have on your site, the more people have to search and the more it leads them to other blog posts.
Writing for someone else, and then now you have your own blog. From a blogging perspective, from I guess you can say you were like a freelance writer to now having your own blog, what's something you would do differently if you could start over again?
If I could start all over again, I would have started much sooner, and
Mhm.
less self doubting. I would have invested in myself more. So by that I mean I would have like probably gotten a camera early. I probably would have taken some photography classes. So those are things like invest in yourself more. I still want someone to redesign my website. So those are just like a couple things that I would do differently. More photo shoots. I feel like when people can see who you are, it allows them to connect with you more. But like I've still seen a lot of growth with these food accounts where like all you see is like a hand and a hot dog. But like when people can connect with you, it makes you more real to them. Like people have whole conversations in my DMs, like whole conversations. And like when they meet me in real life, it's just like we've been friends like the whole time.
Mhm. I agree. I do have to say, compared to a lot of the other food bloggers, even the ones who have like 50,000, 100K followers, all I see, like you just said, was like a hand and a hot dog. And it's like, okay, do I really just want to sit here and just look at food all day? I would like to like kind of know the person behind the blog, but then that's when they get you and they're like, oh, follow my personal page. And it's like, this is a lot of work just to like follow one person's content. But I guess it also is like each his own.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. And then also like when you're able to like show your personality, you're able to like introduce other categories into your blog besides like if you're a foodie, like I'm able to bring in like lifestyle or like I'm able to like maybe show you like what's my favorite like skirt at or like these new Doc Martens I just got. So it's really like sharing more of your life with people.
And I do agree with that, and I think you do a good job with that because you do show the food side of you going out to restaurants, but you also show how you said earlier you do cook at home. You show like you go in grocery haul and then what you make out of it, what's your review on that food, and you also incorporate your lifestyle because I think of food like we have to eat to survive, but you just I guess compared to other people who eat just to eat so they can live, you actually enjoy food. So it's like a different level of like lifestyle for you. It's actually really a part of your
Yeah,
lifestyle.
definitely. I'm not just out here like eating at restaurants every day. Like I also like enjoy cooking at home. I enjoy like understanding like how things are prepared and how they should taste. And I think that's one thing that I really enjoy sharing with my readers, or like how to pronounce something correctly on the menu so you don't look like a retard. Like I'm like here to help you with like life hacks and get you through this.
I know you mentioned that you were a little reluctant to start a blog at first, but you finally got over that hurdle because of self-doubt and you wanting to invest in yourself. What is your advice to someone who wants to start a blog but isn't sure where to start?
Really good question. I always say first of all, figure out like what are you passionate about and what do people ask you the most about, and then write about that. And I always tell people like writing and like sharing it with the world, like putting it on the internet is like the scariest thing ever because it's like there forever. Like even if you delete it, it still sometimes pops up in like search results. But it's also like a very vulnerable state to be in to like write words, allow other people to read them, and share it with thousands of others. So I always just tell people like believe in yourself, and if you're passionate about it, people will see that and they will continue to follow and support you.
I agree. Going back a little bit to your job life, on your blog, I know you posted an article called, or you posted a blog post called When Your Passion and Career Don't Align. I just want to say that I really did enjoy this blog post, and it goes back to what you just said. It shows you on your blog not only incorporating food, but also showing that you do have 9 to 5. You also are a food blogger, and how that kind of like ties in together. In the blog post, you said late passion bloomers. Can you define that in your own word?
Yeah, so I feel like in life we all go to school and we're like, oh, as soon as I get done with school, like I'm gonna go straight into my profession. And for some of us, it happens. It's a blessing. You're lucky. And some of us we don't find it until like later on, and it's like almost like shame. Like it's like, what did you go to school for? Oh,
Mhm.
marketing. Oh, what do you work at? Oh, I just work like in sales or retail or customer service or and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so whack or like out of place because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. But like
Mhm.
the thing that you went to school for isn't always the thing that you're passionate about. I mean, like you should, but sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. So, like a late bloomer when it comes to like passion is sometimes just finding your passion later in life by society standards. I didn't find mine until I was like, I want to say like 27, 28.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that I found it now. So it's totally okay, you guys.
So in American culture, I feel that post high school, it's pushed on us, like kind of like what you just said, it's pushed on us like, okay, after you go to high school, you even like your senior, junior year, you need to start looking at colleges. What college or university are you going to go to? What's your next step? Just because from kindergarten to senior year, we already know, okay, I'm going to elementary, middle, and high school. However, from my background, I did work with international students. And what I noticed in me learning and getting to know them is that post high school, a lot of them did a gap year. What is your view on like going straight to college and securing that degree to be able to be employed after college, even if it's not in your field, but at least to be more of a, I guess, more of a competitive in the field versus after high school, maybe taking a year off to find yourself, travel, or learn your passion?
So definitely, I feel like we have to conform to this standard that society is like placed upon us. It's always like, where are you going? Like as soon as you're in your senior year. But to be honest with you, I actually took a gap year. I was going to school for accounting. It was the most boringest thing in life ever. And then I was like, you know what? Let me take a break so I don't waste any more money because student loans are real and Sally Mae will call you. I said, let me figure out like what am I really passionate about? What do I really like? And then I took a step back and I was like, I'm gonna take a year off. I worked, I was out here hustling, had a really good job, and then I kind of remember back to a class I had. It was like intro to marketing, and I just remembered I really enjoyed that class, and then that's what made me switch my major over to marketing. And I would say like, let's see, I'm like really dating myself right now. I'm 34, but I think out of all my professional career, I've only been in a marketing position for 2 years. So yeah, so it's kind of shocking, but I do enjoy marketing. Just to be very transparent, it's been really hard for me to get back into it because when I started, it was like a totally different game. Now it's so different with like social media. But I encourage people taking a gap year if you need to figure out life. Like it's important, and to also not waste money. But I do see that the world that we live in now, like you have to have like a degree to even just do the most basic jobs now. Everyone wants you to have a bachelor's. They don't care what it's in. They just want you to have it just to show that you're able to retain information and apply it.
Going back to the food side of things, how do you handle food reviews or restaurants that you've gone to where maybe you had a bad experience or you weren't as in love with the food as you would have hoped?
Real easy. I just don't post about it. And you were actually with me when we had a not so great experience. That place will remain nameless. But if I don't have any intention of going back, or if I didn't enjoy myself, or if the service was bad, I'm just not going to share it on my blog at all. And I remember one time I wrote a review on a previous blog, and the category was called "Save Your Coins," and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna like start listing like restaurants that like I feel like you shouldn't go to. And then I only did it one time, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just not going to tell you about it because I feel like any publicity is good publicity. So I was like, I'm just not going to even share. So I haven't. I've only been in a situation twice where something negative has happened. So I think twice out of like the 2 years I've been blogging isn't bad. But just straight up, I'm not posting about my visit. I'm not going to tag you in anything. Like it's just not going up.
Mhm.
So
And do you ever like give restaurants like a second chance? Or are you just like, nope, that's it. You're blacklisted.
So the two ones that I had negative experiences with, I have not been back since.
Hmm.
I feel like whenever I have a not so great experience, I'm going to tell you in the moment.
Hmm.
I'm not just going to leave.
Hmm.
And as somebody that has worked in the hospitality industry, I can tell like if the server messed up or if it's the kitchen, or like if I give you feedback, it's going to be constructive but very genuine feedback. So I feel like you I'm also not going to announce, hi, I'm a food blogger. Like, I know some people do that, but like, I feel like if I tell you I'm a food blogger, you're going to give me a completely different experience than what other people would get. And I don't like that. So some people like to announce it, and I just don't. That's just me personally. Now I will say I have been invited out for like comp meals, and I will still give you the 411 on the customer service I received, if even if it's good or bad. Like I'll tell you the food was great, but like there was areas of service where they could have like did a little bit better, but it wasn't terrible. So I'm
What
always
is
going
your
to keep
favorite
it
restaurant? It could be anywhere in the US or the world, but what is your favorite restaurant?
Oh man. So the very first time I had Thai
Uh-huh.
food was in St. Louis, which is where I grew up. And it's called King and I, and it's the best Thai food I've ever had in my life.
Mhm.
I've been like chasing this high. It's like I keep going to these like Thai restaurants and nothing compares to it, but they're close. But King and I is located on Grand in St. Louis, Missouri. That's like my
I
favorite
am so
restaurant,
happy
hands
you
down. I
said
could
that
eat
because now that
that
gives me a
every day,
reason to go there
and it could be
because
my
I
last
love
meal.
Thai
I'd be happy
food
with
and I
that.
wasn't sure what to do in St. Louis if I were to ever visit. So I will add that to my list. Ooh. Oh, yeah. That would be perfect for like Valentine's Day or like the holidays, even birthdays. What is your favorite type of food?
Well, the thing is I actually created like a whole guide to St. Louis. So you can check out the guide, and I'm getting ready to put out another blog post about like all things sweets, like donuts and cupcakes. But yeah, it's
Mm,
plenty of things to do.
mhm.
Yeah, very true. Favorite type of food? I just like spicy food in general. Thai is like my favorite, but I love spicy food in general. I love Caribbean food. I can eat jerk oxtails all day. Um, but I love things with like heat. I love things with spice. But
You are
definitely
literally
Thai is
saying
like
all the type
number
of foods
one.
that I love. You may
Trying
have
to think
to.
of what else.
Yeah, we need to get together again and go to another
I love
restaurant.
really good
I know
Mexican
a
food, like
few. I
really
don't know
good,
if
like
you've been to them,
authentic,
but we
like
definitely need to get together. But
guac that
you, of
like
course, know
changes
way
your
more than
life.
me for New York
That as
City.
well.
So, okay, what
We gotta
has
get
been an
together.
unexpected food experience that you weren't sure if you were gonna like, but you actually ended up falling in love with?
We'll sync on it. Don't worry.
Mhm. You gonna try bugs? Ah,
I'm trying to think. I'm not really like the one to walk on the
wait, but
wild side and
oh,
like
okay,
try
so
bugs and
but
stuff, and I probably will
wait,
never
okay,
be.
okay, okay. I know what you're talking about, like the chocolate
Um,
covered bugs. But I'm trying to think of other stuff that you
I
could
said
probably
I will
eat that
never
maybe
try
like would
bugs.
you eat
I'm not gonna
snails?
eat. I'm not eating them. I can't. I
Okay,
don't
that's
care
not
if they're
really a
covered in
bug, but
chocolate
it's
or in a
yeah,
lollipop. I'm
okay.
just.
Uh-huh. Ooh, matcha?
I've had snails before, actually.
Like matcha powder?
Um, yeah. I'm not crazy about it. I tried it
Ooh,
once,
I
but I'm
love
not crazy.
matcha
I had
powder.
matcha. No, wait. I had matcha jello.
Yeah, matcha powder, I know it's become like a really big trend, but I
Matcha
don't feel like it
jello.
goes good with everything. I like it in
Yeah,
like my
but it was like in a
teas and
jello
stuff,
form.
but in food,
And
I don't in my
surprisingly,
personal
it
opinion,
wasn't
I
that
just
bad, but it didn't
don't
really taste
like
like
it with
anything.
foodie
So,
stuff. Like it just doesn't go well. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, no. I would do matcha I would do matcha ice cream, but matcha pickles, I
yeah.
will try
It's
it
just like
once to at least knock it
it's
off
one of
my
those
list,
food fads.
but I don't know if I would be in love
Matcha
with that.
everything, like matcha pickles, matcha ice cream,
So
matcha
how do you
lattes.
balance wait,
Matcha's
did you answer the
everywhere.
question, like, what was the unexpected food that you, ended up falling in love with?
Yeah, I don't know about that one either.
Okay, okay, that's fine, that's okay. If you do think of something
Oh, and I
wait,
can't think. I think I fall in love with everything I eat pretty much. There's
macro, what's that?
nothing except for bugs. I mean,
Macro?
no,
Like
I'm trying to think off the
MACRO?
top of my head. I can't think of anything. Oh wait, no, no,
What?
wait.
Wait,
Hold
hold
on.
on.
I had mackerel. It's like a fish.
Oh, I've never wait.
Yeah.
This looks
M
like
A
the little fish off of
C
SpongeBob.
K
Like
E
just
R
looked
E
it up.
L. So it's like it typically comes like inside of cans sometimes.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
See, oh, that sounds.
And it was funny because I was at like a Michelin star restaurant and they're like, we have mackerel. And I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to eat mackerel. But I ate it anyways
Really?
and it actually tastes good. Oh, I know. Sea urchin. No, actually, this is what it reminds me of. So it's kind of like butter, just like melts in your mouth.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So surprisingly, you have to make sure you go to a place
I
that
will
has like
try,
really
like I said
good
before, I will
sea
try
urchin
something at least
apparently. But
once,
like
so
I
I'll
went
give
to
it
a
a
place and I
try.
tried it and
But
just
as of
like
right now, that doesn't
melted
look
in
like
my
something
mouth.
that
They
I would
call it
be in
like the
love with.
butter of the sea because it just
It
melts.
looks, oh,
But yeah, it was
and
good.
it's
So yeah, that's it. Sea urchin.
scallop. Okay, that's what I
It's
had.
okay. Well, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look all spiny.
And
So they
it's
cut
funny
it
that
into
I'm
like
saying that
really
because you
thin
said
strips, so
sea
it
urchin
kind of
is like
has
the
the
butter of the sea,
consistency
but
of
shrimp
like
is like the
a
roach of the sea,
scallop or
apparently.
something. But when you
But
put it in your mouth, yeah, when you put it in your mouth,
so,
it just
how do you
dissolves. So
balance eating and keeping a healthy lifestyle? You said you don't.
yeah, they eat
Well,
everything,
walking in New York City
unfortunately.
counts.
Well, I don't work out, and that's my problem. I don't work out, and that's my problem. So yeah, but I'm only getting like 6,000 steps, and I think the doctor said 10,000 is good. But I stay away from like a lot of fatty foods. I definitely eat a lot of vegetables, and
That's a good
I'm
goal.
wanting to
And I
start
know,
becoming more active at least 3 times a week. So that's like
yeah,
a
I
goal
can say from your
that I
blog
want to
reviews
start
and the
like a
fact
day
that you
after
said Thai food
Christmas.
is like your favorite food, I feel like
But yeah,
Thai
so I
is
want to start
like, it's
cycling
not always quick. You
because I
can
need to
find the
start doing
good
something to
quick
be
places that
active.
aren't super fatty, but
Yeah.
I feel like Thai food is really just like healthy. It's usually filled with like rice or a noodle, but it's always like some type of vegetable to complement it. So that's like a good balance. Mhm. Going back a
Yeah.
little bit to what you said about food
I don't really
bloggers
like, I mean,
who
I do love
only post
pasta,
like
but I
their
try to stay away from
hand or
foods that are
different
like
things like
super
that.
heavy. So I like a lot of
One
foods that
thing
are
I
like
will
light. So I think
say,
that's why I
getting
like so
more into
much of
the
like
food world
so many different types
myself,
of Asian
especially
foods.
the Yelp food world, is that it doesn't feel like the food world is a very diverse space. And I know you have posted a lot about more black or just more diversity within the food world. Basically, I noticed in the food world that there's not a lot of black or minority people in the food world. What is your viewpoint on that?
It kind of makes me sad when I go to like these PR events and I'm typically one, the only black person or the only person of color, or like there's typically like a couple of Asians, but I really feel like it's important that if you enjoy food and you want to share it with people, definitely do it. People want to see people that remind them of themselves. So I would say don't be scared. And also invite
Mhm.
others. Like I try to make sure if I go to events, and because I know that they lack persons of color, that I invite another person as well too, because it's also important to like understand that like sometimes you might not be accepted at that table, and that's why it's important for you to create your own table. So a good example is I've actually created a group on like Facebook. It's pretty casual, but it's specifically for people of color who are food bloggers in New York City because I feel like it's really, really important for us to be able to like come together and like share opinions or like tips and thoughts. Um, because if we don't speak up, like we're just going to continue to be like swept underneath the rug. And we have a different viewpoint on food when it comes to other demographics, and I think it deserves to be shared with other people. And it's also really important for us to like support these black-owned businesses, because I was just reading an article the other day, like how long a dollar circulates in the African American community, and I think it was like less than a
Wow,
day
that's
compared
very
to like
interesting. So
Asians,
you said that the
where
dollar
it's in
is
their
only in
community
the
for like
black
almost
community
three
for a
weeks.
day.
So it's important for us to one share our differences and make other people aware of them, and also support black-owned businesses. Yes, it's for like less than a day, which is really, it was actually really discouraging when I read that because you have to think about it. Like when you make your money, where do you go spend that? Are you putting it back into a black owned bank? Are you going to a black owned grocery store? It's just sad. And actually, it's 6 hours to be exact. 6 hours.
And if I'm not mistaken, don't on your blog you have a list of like black owned coffee shops or
So
something?
on my blog, I do have a couple of black owned coffee shops. They're the entire list is not black owned, but what I did was I listed out a couple of locally owned coffee shops uptown, so like Harlem and some in the Bronx. The majority of them are owned by
Mhm.
minorities and also women too. So I try to make sure that like I highlight these type of businesses. So I just highlighted one today called Lily's Gourmet Bakery. And cool thing about her product is
Mm.
it's zucchini bread, and she makes it in like different flavors like
Mm.
chocolate, pecan carrot, cinnamon spice. She grows her own zucchini. She only uses one sugar opposed to like four different sugars. I've also highlighted another company called Euphoria in a Jar. So it's like cheesecake in a jar, and that's a black-owned
Mhm.
company based out of Atlanta. But it's really important for me to like highlight these businesses and share them with the people that are on my
I
platform.
feel like when people sometimes look at different fields, like tech world or science, like the STEM fields, because they don't see anyone that looks like them, that kind of discourages them not to take the step or the leap of faith into that field. If that makes any sense, what is your advice to them to still like push forth and create your own door or your own seat at the table? I know you mentioned that you created your own
Man, this is
Facebook
really
page,
like
but
spot
what is your
on.
advice to other people in
So
other
I was
fields?
visiting with my family last weekend, and I have a younger cousin. I think she's like 15. She's in her sophomore year. She wants to be a veterinarian. And so she was like, in my school, they don't really have too many programs where it allows you to
Mm.
like meet other black veterinarians. And so I said, well, have you ever like tried to look someone up in your like local area and ask them if they could shadow you for like, or if you can shadow them for like a day? And she's like, I never thought about that. So sometimes it's creating your own opportunities. But I told her, I was like, look up minority association or veterinary association for minorities. See if they have different chapters in different states. Google, try to find one. If you find one, email them and tell them, hey, I live in so and so state. Do you know anybody that lives here? I'm interested in being in this field. I think like the veterinarian field is like it's like some crazy number, like 90% white. And so like imagine trying to find a black vet. So I always tell people like create your opportunities. Don't tell yourself
My last
no,
question, well, my second to last question is I know looking at your Instagram stories a few weeks ago, you posted that your goal for the year was to just post one blog post a day. And I really got inspired by that because I feel like with me doing my own blog and other projects that I have is that I see so many people who are so much further than me and I'm just like I'm behind, I need to like catch up. But I also admired you because you just did one. That was it. It's so simple, but I feel like it helps you to stay consistent and just keep up with your blog and just your content. What is your goal for this upcoming year? Or how do you plan to like push yourself further?
So yeah, so some of my goals for this year includes continuing to be consistent for the same goal I had for 2018 with one blog post a week. I also want to start freelancing for other like websites. I feel like it's going to be a way for me to get my name out there even to a further reach that will only direct people back to my site. So that's something that I want to do more free. I want to start freelancing, and then just start joining more like food associations that will allow me to network more. I know a lot of people think like I'm an extrovert, but I'm a fake extrovert. So I feel like I need to like really put myself out there, be uncomfortable, and just like start meeting more people in this space. So those are a couple of my goals for this year, and to redesign my
Okay, so my
website
last
as well
question
too.
is as you know, the podcast is named Pour Into My Cup. Do you see your cup as half full or half empty?
Oh man, it's really hard because I would like to think my cup is really full because I pour into myself a lot, but other people, which I consider like I call my blogger tribe or my support system, they pour into me so much. But at the same time, I feel like I pour into a lot of other people. Um, it's just really important for me to like always be available to anyone to help, especially when it comes to blogging. Like people reach out to me all the time, like now I'm in the beginning stages. I'm like, let's hop on the phone, let's talk for 30 minutes. So I feel like I never expect people to reciprocate what I do, but I feel like I've been so blessed this past year that when I've poured out to other people, people have poured into me. So it just, I never feel burnt out. I never feel overused. It's just like a
That
really
sounds
good
really
feeling.
good. I agree. I do think like community is so important, and that's something that I'm trying to grow within my own businesses because it's no fun doing it alone. Yes, you do need that time alone, so like get yourself together, like how you have your planning days, but just to have someone who understands like where you've been or where you are currently and where you're trying to go, it really makes it a big difference.
I totally agree. Community is everything.
My last question, I guess in a sense, is what is your handle? Like where can people find you at if they want to stay connected with you?
So I am Dom in the City across all platforms. So that's DOM followed by the letter N and the city. So I'm on Pinterest even, but I'm mainly on Twitter, Instagram, and you can always find me at my website as well too, dominthecity.com.
And if someone was interested in joining your Facebook group, how could they go about doing that?
Yeah, my Facebook group as well. I always forget about Facebook. It's Dom in the City as well on Facebook. So you can always feel free to like follow and add me on there. You can even send me a message. Even if you're like coming to New York and you have no idea where to begin, feel free to like reach out to me. I've actually created a guide to New York City. So if you subscribe to my blog, you get a list of places to go for brunch, lunch, dinner, drinks, attractions, and it's all
Thank
broken
you so
down
much
by
for being on the
boroughs. So
podcast.
it's always a good starting point. So I always tell people reach out to me. I normally respond well within 24 hours to any request. Thank you so much for having me.